My story begins on a dusty dirt road on the outskirts of Fort Wayne about 20 years ago. I was newly divorced, living on my own, working the night shift at a local hospital, just trying to make ends meet. I'd lost my business during the past year due to a divorce and was fortunate enough to have a job that I did have. I was stressed beyond belief, sad, depressed, frustrated, and angry at the world. At the advice of a good friend, I had started therapy reluctantly. I believe his exact words were, "Dude, you're a mess. Get some help." He was right, of course, but I had been resistant until I started having some thoughts that were, quite frankly, starting to scare me a bit. Nothing seemed to make sense. My life wasn't supposed to be this way. It felt hopeless, helpless. And I wasn't exactly your model client either. My poor therapist, she must have been a saint. She had asked me to start keeping a journal, and I had done everything short of telling her to go F herself. To say that I felt the assignment was lame is a gross understatement. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. She'd given me some mumbo-jumbo rhetoric about controlling my thoughts being the way to happiness that had eluded me for all of my life. And I had honestly decided, you know what, I just don't need this. I'm not going back. But then she said something on my way out the door that haunted me. She said, sometimes the most profound outcomes result from the simplest of endeavors. And then she smiled, with a look on her face that said, I know you think this is bullshit, but go ahead, try and prove me wrong. And maybe that's why I bought a notebook on my way home that day. Maybe I was just going to fill that damn thing up with all the bullshit my life was, and then shove it back in her face and say, here, I did it, and it didn't help a damn bit. Now what? I'll never really know why I bought that notebook, but I did. And now here I was, on the side of a dirt road, sitting on a rock staring at that damn notebook, pen in hand, ready to tear it up. I'd worked the night shift, come home, tried to sleep, just couldn't. Jumped on my bike to take out some of my aggression and just maybe get myself tired enough to sleep later on. I'd ridden for about an hour and had stopped to rest for a minute and grabbed the notebook out of my backpack. As I stared at the blank page, I remember thinking, you asked for it. You're going to get it. And with that, I commenced to write down every bloody thought I could squeeze out of my sorry brain. I held nothing back. I was going for shock value at this point. My therapist was going to be sorry she asked me to do this. I must have written for a few hours, writing down all of the anger and sadness and the horrible thoughts I had about my ex-wife, my life. It was bad. I probably had more F-bombs in that spiral-bound notebook than had ever been put in a spiral-bound notebook to that day. I could just see my therapist blushing as she read through my notebook, seeing just how nasty I could be. Much to my chagrin, however, she never even opened the notebook up. She asked me for it, I handed it to her, and she opened a desk drawer and pulled out a lighter and walked over to the fireplace in her office. She simply said to me, "Do you want to do the honors?" I didn't know what to say. I was kind of dumbfounded. I certainly didn't expect that. I walked over, grabbed the notebook and the lighter, tossed it on the logs, and lit it. We both stood there in silence for what seemed like quite a long time, just watching the pages curl as they caught fire. Finally, she broke the silence. I know what was in that notebook, she offered. The most hateful, hurtful, angry, sad, obnoxious things you could possibly be thinking and feeling, right? Yeah, I nodded my head. We must never think of these things again. From now on, I want you only to write the thoughts in your notebook that you should be thinking. And with that, she handed me another notebook. And that was it, the whole session. She didn't say anything more. She just wanted me to think. Well, I was actually kind of giddy on my way home, feeling pretty darn good. That was it? No more of that crap in my head? Wow, that was wonderful. But then I woke up literally, in the middle of the night, feeling worse than I had ever felt before. Those thoughts weren't gone. They came back with a vengeance. I'd been duped, I thought. What a bunch of crap. What a bunch of snake oil. I'm done drinking the Kool-Aid. I didn't know what to do next. I didn't write anymore. I just thought about what had happened, and I couldn't wait to talk to my therapist again and tell her how miserable and ridiculous her ideas were. It didn't work. That's what I told her. She feigned a surprised look on her face. What didn't work? The burning of that damn book. The thoughts are still there, stronger than ever. She just smiled and asked me about what I had written in my new book. Now I was getting a little pissed. What have I written in my new book? Really? I was feeling a bit indignant at this point, but she stayed calm. Yeah, what have you written in your book? At this point I was getting a bit flustered. I couldn't even remember what I was supposed to write. She calmly explained that the assignment was to write about what I should be thinking about, what I wanted to be thinking about. What did I want to be thinking? Come again? I wanted to be thinking that my ex-wife would die in a car accident. That's what I wanted to be thinking. But I knew that wasn't the answer she was looking for, so I dug a little deeper. I wanted to be thinking that my life was going to turn around. I wanted to be thinking that I would be happy. I wanted to be thinking that I would be wildly successful. I wanted to be thinking I'd be married again to a beautiful wife and we would live happily ever after. Write those things down, she instructed. That's what goes in the notebook. Again, are you kidding me? I don't believe any of that right now. I don't believe any of those things are true or that they will ever actually happen. She smiled and remained undeterred. Of course you don't believe them. You haven't thought them enough times yet. Write those things down now. Now, I dutifully wrote those things down. Probably mostly because I just didn't feel like arguing with her at this point. But I was absolutely skeptical. How could simply writing down the thoughts that I wanted to be thinking do anything to change my life? It seemed so Pollyanna-ish at the time. I wish I could say that I tried it because I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, but I can't say that. I have to confess, I tried to prove her wrong. From that point on, I was kind of on a mission to expose counseling for the farce that I was really beginning to think it was. But in the end, I wound up proving her right. Just the first of many serendipitous events.